Welcome to the 34th episode of the Daft Previews podcast. I am absolutely aroused to tell you it's our very first podcast of the NRL season. Today we'll be previewing the games, sharing with you our best line bets, $1.90 bangers for the weekend. My name is Dan, and I'm joined by the Mad Dog, Luke.
It's cracking, mate. Round one, baby. We're here.
We're here. But before we get into today's juice, today's jam, today's peanut butter on toast, I want to give our condolences to the Warne family. Tragic passing of an Australian legend, Shane Warne. I'm not a big fan of cricket, but I knew exactly what he was. Saw a couple of highlights. Did my own spin actions in the backyard of my old man as I was growing up. But you, as an avid cricket lover, what's your favourite Warnie memory? What comes to mind?
What comes to mind on the field? I think probably 99 World Cup against South Africa. He came on when we're getting flogged, basically. They were chasing a very small total, and he basically carried us that game and won. But then also his off-field antics. I felt like he was someone who the media, particularly the UK press, would hammer and just rip into. You know, you see it a lot these days. But like he just stayed true to who he was, and everyone loved him for that. That's one big thing, you know. You see a lot of people, players, athletes come out these days, and they get in front of a camera and they give you stereotypical interviews and stuff. Whereas this guy just owned who he was, and everyone loved it because he was actually, according to accounts from everyone close to him, a very good bloke. So, yeah,
fantastic bloke. I did read a wonderful story about him on various media outlets of someone who was fortunate enough to room with him overseas. And throughout that evening, Uncle Shane brought through 8 different women through the course of that night, made passionate love to every single one of them. And after the 8th, still had the energy to rub one out before he went to bed. It wasn't enough for him. And that just sums up how great a bloke he was.
Legend.
Absolute legend. Speaking of legends, we're trying to get to legend status on our tipping for this year. So we kick things off, if I remember correctly, round 7 of last year, we started jumping on. We got on $1.90 bets of every game of the round. We actually found a lot of success. I think off the top of my head, we're probably hitting 5 to 6 out of 8. You had a lot of 7 out of 8.
Had a couple there, yeah. Missed perfect rounds by one game, and it was often the last game of the round or the second last game, which was ultimately frustrating for a multi that I'd have on it. But
yeah, and look, I know even some of our tips was a little bit of vibe, a couple omens, a couple emotionally driven bets. But this year we're holding ourselves accountable. We're tracking every single one. I know for yourself, you're going to be throwing some big money at it, so you got a lot of confidence. You want to let everyone know what your staking plan is for your line bets.
So we're having a shared spreadsheet, so we'll put every bet up, but also every bet that we put out, I'll be backing as well. So my bets, I'm not backing some of Dan's because sometimes they are emotionally invested in a certain team north of the border, but I'm backing every bet. I'm going to put $100 on every line bet that I put on this year. And again, we're going to do the same thing. We're not going to go to a game and just hammer these random markets. Every single game, I'm going to have a pick on it, and that's what I'm going to be putting a bet on. So putting the money where it is as well.
Whole bit of accountability, something we can reflect on every single week. These emotionally bets, those emotionally charged bets, they don't pay off. It feels good in the moment, but then I watch the game and I'm like, bit of a fool. Next week, we'll also be talking through, we'll do a bit of promo hunting. It's a new season, so a lot of different bookies have a whole lot of promos for this week. Keeping it stock, keeping it standard, hitting you with our best $1.90 plays. But for next week, we'll have a brand new segment. But to kick things off, it's actually quite strange not to see my Broncos kick off the season. But some exciting news for you, folks. First game of the season's on Thursday, 10th of March. It's the Penrith Panthers versus the Manly Sea Eagles at Bluebet Stadium in Penrith. Yay! Currently on Sportsbet, Manly are the favourites at $1.85. Panthers slight outsiders at $1.95, with a line being 1.5 points. Now, if you're looking at total points, we're looking at 42.5 is your over/under. I'll hand this first one over to you. We're not talking about try scorers. I don't want to hear none of that. It's an absolute scam. So if you're listening to this, don't be an absolute idiot and get on some try scorers, but I know a lot of you people will. But for you, my friend Luke, Your boys are playing. You're backing them to cover the line. You're backing a high-scoring game. What are you thinking?
So this year, I'm going to use different bookies as well, so to get the absolute jam as much as you can. This game here, Cleary got ruled out today. In fact, got ruled out for first three rounds. So the Panthers, obviously, historically, if you've seen them without Cleary the last couple of years in particular, have been very average. They probably have less than a 50% win record, and also they just lack any attack at all. So if you look at last year, towards the end of last year, yes, they're on the comp, but their attack definitely dried up in the finals with Cleary as well. But now they don't have Cleary for round 1 versus Manly, who are just about full strength. Difference also, though, with Manly, again, is it's a new year. Tommy Turbo, can he play the same level he played at last year? But even if he did play at the level he did last year, where Manly did struggle was breaking down the big teams, particularly Penrith and Melbourne. They shut Turbo down. It's easier, they found, to defend them, and they really struggled to score points against those two teams. So whilst Penrith are missing Cleary, and where the big difference will be, because obviously I live across the road from the stadium and it has been fucking hammering rain for 2.5, 3 weeks straight now, to the point where I literally across the road from the stadium, the leagues club and that side, that's being told to evacuate right now. That's how much this water's coming up. So it's wet. So the kicking game is going to be big, and Cherry Evans does have a big kick on him, so it's going to suit. And then if you look back in the trial game where Para had the success, Moses was just bombing it downfield. He kicked like a 30-20 or something, or a 40-10, where Toto let it bounce and it skid out. But the long kicking game is where the key is, not so much the short kicking game, because teams will tend to run it a bit more on the last and play field position football rather than risking kicking it dead. So long kicking game matters. Sean O'Sullivan and Luai. Sean O'Sullivan's solid, but he's not the best kicker in the game, whereas Manly do have that edge. So I'm expecting Penrith not to get a lot of opportunities, but I'm playing the under 42.5. I think that's just way too big, considering Manly struggled to score points against the big teams last year. Penrith are missing players, particularly Clear, and will struggle to score points as well, and with the weather combined. That's on Tab, by the way, and Sportsbet, I believe, if you want that one. But let's ruin Tab's life on the first game of the season, scumbags.
Let's ruin them. I had very similar sentiments. When I looked into it, I was like, Manly bashed everybody that was supposed to.
Yeah.
They weren't supposed to bash the Panthers, and they never did. The Panthers handled them comfortably last year. I think 12-point win and like a 20 or 30-point win in another game. So, but Penrith is without Cleary. So given the conditions, given that Penrith's attack should struggle a little bit, I'm backing their defense to slow down Manly the way that they always have. With rain forecasted till Wednesday, I'm assuming the field would be a heavy 8 come game day.
Yeah.
It's going to get nice and choppy. I think a couple of boys might come into this game a couple of kilos overweight too, so there's a little bit more pressure on the ground. It's going to be a tough one, but I've also taken that under 42.5. If I'm going to pick a winner, wanted to pick Manly, but at the same time, until they beat a top team, I don't feel confident, regardless of Cleary not being there.
Yep.
There's a chance somebody steps up. Given the conditions as well, I think a lot of the game's going to be played in the middle, and I think Api Coruscant could be, should good chance of cleaning up those 3 Dally M points unless Turbo goes mental. So we're both at the unders.
Little stat on that: Penrith have not lost at their home ground since 2019. They won every game there in 2020 and won every game at that stadium in 2021. So there's a home, and whilst it's going to be wet, so it's not going to be the most biggest crowd there. Well, it should. If it dries up, it'll be sellout. It's a very tough place for teams to go and win. So even Melbourne couldn't get the win there last year without Cleary. They beat Melbourne without Cleary there last year. They'd missed Pappenhausen, but it's a different ground to play at the moment.
It's been a long time. And thanks to Sportsbet, I can let you know that each of the last 7 matches between Penrith and Manly at Bluebet Stadium have gone under the total points match line. How about that?
There you go. I didn't even look at that, but there you go.
Sportsbet and us are aligned. All right, that's moist. Heading into Friday, your first game at 6 p.m. is going to be played at GIO Stadium in Canberra. We've got the Canberra Raiders hosting the Cronulla Sharks. So this game, very similar odds to the first. Cronulla are the favourites at $1.85. Canberra at $1.95. The line on this one is 1.5. If you're looking at total points, it's 44.5. If we're looking at the team list, you've got for Cronulla, Ikavalu, Nico Hines, Dal Finucane are the big ins. For Canberra, I guess there's a big out in Jamal Fogarty. Knees buckled and butchered. They've still got Jack Wyden at 6, best fullback on the roster.
Thank you.
We've said it for almost a year now. And who do we have? Adam Elliott, the bathroom bandit, just coming straight off the interchange.
Couple of Elliots. Elliott Whitehead into Adam Elliott.
2 Elliots. But what do you think? This game could honestly go either way. Sharks have a slightly stronger lineup. Canberra are at home. Conditions could be shithouse because the weather on the eastern side of this country is absolutely awful. What are you thinking? We haven't got the same play on this one.
No, we don't. I'm looking forward to this game because Raiders have a lot of pressure on them. I think outside of maybe the Dogs and Cowboys, there's a big expectation on improvement in the Raiders this season. Where they fell short last year and where everyone talks to is obviously they felt they're obviously losing a halfback literally 6-7 rounds into the season because of homesickness, and then having to just wing halfbacks in there, and it put a lot of pressure on Whiten. As you know, Whiten is fantastic for kicking the ball out in the full. He's just got a very mediocre kicking game. It's usually just kick downfield and lead the charge. So, him steering around a team is always going to be trouble. They've gone ahead. They obviously got Fogarty in, but by the sounds of it all, it's not settled. I think they still want that player. I think Luke Brooks was linked to there at one point. There's a lot of
as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks about the halves for Canberra because they realise that Jack Wyden is a fullback and playing him in 5'8" when there's no recognised controlling half is just detrimental to his game. So this Brad Schneider bloke is a Tigers junior, but he's come through, he's played for Canberra and he's worked his way up. He's 21 years of age. First grade game of the season. I can't see him going out and dominating. It's usually your debut game is never you're not the dominant half. You look at all the halves, they play alongside someone. So it's expected Whiten's going to have to take control, and I think that's where they're going to get done versus Cronulla team who've recruited very well. They've got most of those players on show. Nico Hines is a big shout out to him getting his first run in the halves, and he's looked very solid throughout literally the All-Stars and their trial game last week. So, and a very good forward pack with Dal Finucane there. He will add a lot of mongrel and tough resilience to the defense. So I'm going to play Sharks straight. If you go on Blue Bet, here's a little special. If you bet a team head-to-head and they're leading by 4 or more at halftime, you're paid out as a winner. So you take them on Blue Bet, you get them at $1.90. It's basically hoping they're up by 4 at halftime, and it's a payout. So Sharks straight. How do you say it?
I do like the Sharks to win, but I did feel a little bit more confident in the unders. The reason being, so I picked under 44.5, which is not going to be a very popular selection, I'll tell you that. I wouldn't be surprised if this went up to 45.5 come game day. The reason being, 7 of the last 8 games between Canberra and Cronulla have gone over. But my gut feel tells me that this will be a very closely contested match. The forward packs are pretty strong, to be honest, on both sides. There is some strike in the back line as well from both teams. Semi Valemei, athletic, drops a lot of balls. Tomoko, he's like a Katoni Staggs, slightly thicker. Schiller, probably a nice bloke, but he's good enough to keep Jared Croker out of the lineup. Nick Kotrick's back for Canberra. The last good game he's ever played was the last time he was in a Canberra uniform. And Klokstad's hopefully healthy and he's ready to roll. But I see these teams evenly matched. Where my concern is in the halves. You said it, Jack Wyden can't kick, but that's not going to stop him from trying. He's ranked top 5 in the power of his kicks across the NRL. Bottom 2 when it comes to accuracy. So he'll be kicking that ball very hard. Matt Moylan doesn't kick at all. Runs it on the last, no matter where he is. Yeah. And Nico Hines, there's no evidence that he has a long kicking game whatsoever. We've seen a lot of short grubbers, a couple of chips, but no long kicking game. So I'm a bit concerned with how both teams are going to score at the end of set. So imagine it'll be closely contested in the middle. Forwards gone bang. Whoever gets momentum by the end of their sets, they're either going to run it or they're just going to put up a bomb, spray and pray, baby. Will Kennedy and Clockstad pretty safe under the high ball as well. I think it's going to be close, but I don't see what's the 44. We're talking about 6-7 tries, converted tries.
Yeah, seven converted tries.
That's
Sorry, eight.
Yeah,
742.
That's a lot of converted tries. And who's going to kick the goals? Like,
it's true. You're missing Croker.
You're missing Croker. Who kicks for the Sharks? I think Trindle was kicking in the trials, but he's out.
Moylan possibly will be kicking. Looking at that lineup, be Moylan.
Look, I'm just taking a stab here, but I'm pretty sure
Nico Hines will kick.
Oh, Nico will kick. Hey,
he's not too bad, but he's not, Reynolds, Cleary, sharpshooter.
Yeah, he's probably at like 70% or less, right? So even that, I think that's way too high for my liking, that 44.5. So I'm just taking the unders. Sure. But yeah, both teams should aim up defensively. I think that'll be a very close match. Yeah. What else have we got? Oh, the main event. So we got the game of the round coming up straight after. Who would have thought? Prime time, Friday evening. Friday the 11th of March, we're at Suncorp Stadium, or Suncorp Swimming Pool, depending on how well it drains out. We've got the Brisbane Broncos versus the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Now, I'd like to say that there's quite a bit of competition between these two teams, but there really isn't. Had a look into it. Souths have been smashing these blokes for a long time. I could just see Greg Inglis running 80 meters, going about. Like, I think about that every single time. For this one, Souths are the favourites at $1.28. Broncos $3.75 outsiders. The line on this one is only 10.5. And I say that because the last time they played each other, the line was over 20.
Yeah.
And the Rabbitohs covered that easily. Looking at the lineups, we see that Adam Reynolds isn't playing for the Rabbitohs or the Broncos. Poor bloke contracted COVID. So the Broncos are running out the same trash players that they had last year, but with Kurt Capewell. Whereas the Rabbitohs have a pretty much full-strength squad just without Adam Reynolds. No Latrell, but who needs him when you got chubby Cody Walker? He's looked a little bit underdone in the trials.
Heavy. I'm hoping post-Mudgee he's lost some weight.
We're hoping. But your mate Mansell hasn't made the run on side.
That's a good sign.
So we'll see what happens there. My mate Liam Knight didn't make it either. Ran into him at the start. So for the Broncos, I guess surprised to see Corey Jensen not make it. He was very strong in the trials. They've gone with Ryan James, who didn't play very well in the trials. But I guess all the attention's on the halves combo. Billy Walters and Albert Kelly. I think Billy Walters was always going to get that 6. With Reynolds out, Kelly steps into the 7, which means we don't have a actual game manager 7 in the side. And for some reason, Kevy's gone with Jermaine Osako at fullback, who didn't play well at fullback in the trials, didn't play well at fullback last year. I know Tessie New's out, but Herbie Farnworth can play fullback, but so can Selwyn Cobbo. He's the future fullback for the club. So I don't know. Giving Jermaine one last shot, I guess. But where I'm going with this one's probably going to be completely different to yours. So I'll kick it off with you because you're probably the voice of reason here. As everybody knows, if you have listened to this before, I will not bet against my team, and I will find $1.90 market that suits me. So,
yeah, well, I'm betting against you. Rabbitohs minus 10.5. The biggest point was what you made. You don't have a game manager, and that's what's going to kill. They killed you last year. Absolutely. There were games last year where you were up to your neck in it against Penrith as well.
Yeah.
And you have a game manager and a costume. And that was the difference.
Best halfback that we have in the club, not named Adam Reynolds because he's out. So the only fit halfback, the best one we have, is Alan Langer. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
And he's still the best 7 that we've got on the roster.
Exactly. And I think that's where it's going to cost you guys. Very interesting about you making points about like Corey Jensen and other players missing out for like Ryan James and going for the tried and tested. And I think also the game before that, Ricky Stewart's done to an extent because Xavier Savage leading this off season was the rage about how fast it was and everything. and he's not playing him, and they're not playing these exciting young players, which kind of, I don't know if it's just trying to be a safe bet here. They don't want to get blown out the park and ruin the confidence, but you've got Souths first up at home without Adam Reynolds, without Latrell Mitchell. They're missing a couple of players there. Yes, they've got a very good team, but probably the easiest Souths team you're going to get this year, and this is what you dish out. So I think, minus 10.5 there. I think unless the game might get moved, unless it's been drained out, but Souths were very average in that Charity Shield to an extent. They had a lot of the same play, just not figuring out what to do. But they did miss the game management there as well of Adam Reynolds. So I'll take the 10.5. I think it's going to be close first half, but it could blow away a bit in the second half, again, with the lack of game management. And you can get that minus 10.5 on tab.
That's dirty, but I respect your decision. And if I was heartless, I would do the same. If I cared about winning as much as I cared about my Broncos, I would have picked the Rabbits as well. But I do not. I care about my club more than anything else. I do have a daughter now, but we can argue that another day. My selection for this game is actually better than $1.90. It's $1.94.
Oh, value.
A bit of value. You can find this one on Sportsbet. I've picked the second half to have the most tries. The Broncos pretty much have the same shit team they had last season. Capewell does make them a better defensive team, but he's defending on the Broncos' left edge. Now, the Rabbitohs are notorious for scoring tries down their own left, and they're playing the same, and the Broncos are playing the same players who struggled defending that edge. You still got Ricky, who can't tackle. He's a great ball runner, doesn't tackle very well, and he's slow to get back in the line. Tony Staggs, very similar, doesn't switch on in defense. And we've got young Selwyn Cobbo out there as well. So they're the same players who struggle defensively in that very same position. I am hopeful that the Broncos do aim up. Like, give me something positive out of this game. And if they do aim up, it won't be an attack because they don't have the 7 for it. But their defense will improve. But I do foresee, by not having a game manager, it's going to be a little bit clunky. We're going to see errors and we're going to see ill discipline. That's going to cause fatigue. And I think the game's going to open up in the second half. That's how I foresee it. So for $1.94, I don't think it's such a bad shout. And I think you might find a very similar trend with all the games that aren't $1.90 each way. I think if there's going to be a blowout, if there's a team much better than the other, you'll find that second half's going to be dirty. It should open up.
Yeah.
That's my thought on my boys. Best of luck to them. I'll be watching closely.
I'll tell you what, though, hopefully the Adam Reynolds thing, though, because there was a talk a couple of weeks back that he was injured, and then he put that to bed, but then got COVID, and that was over a week ago. He apparently still doing positive tests now and stuff. Are you worried there's a bit of a smoke and mirrors thing there? There might be something, a niggle injury that they don't want to release, and they just want to get him through a couple, like, to next week.
Well, what was it in the finals? Was it a hamstring or a calf? Remember that game where he couldn't kick?
Hamstring? I think it was hamstring.
Yeah.
It was a calf. It was like, he could run, but he couldn't kick or sprint far. Like, it was very odd. Like, he could run. Yeah, he could run, but he couldn't kick.
Yeah.
Like, big balls, so.
I think it might be something related to that, but he doesn't have to. He just has to be there. Like,
that's honestly, if he's there, your team if he was playing, that line you're looking at is like a 5.5, 6.5 line.
Yeah,
like he'd move that. He would move it 4 points.
Yeah,
he's that good. Like,
he's that good.
That's the difference, and I think at the moment that's what's going to kill them is that game management.
Yeah. Well, let's move into our what is it? Slutty Saturday.
Slutty Saturday. It's very slutty.
It's a very slutty Saturday, isn't it?
It's very wet.
I'm having a look at it now. It's very wet. It's very moist. It's quite cheap. I think tickets to all these games will be relatively cheap, given that the caliber of some of these teams. But to kick things off at 3 p.m. on Saturday, Sydney Cricket Ground, we've got the Roosters taking on the Newcastle Knights. As expected, Roosters heavily favoured at $1.20. Newcastle Knights are at $4.50. Some key stats. The Roosters have won 10 of the last 11 against the Knights. And the Knights, looking at their lineup, so we all know they lost junior, Mitchell Pearce. They let him go. He played half of the games he could last year. They struggled every game he wasn't there, which may have highlighted the importance of having a quality 7. They didn't replace him with anyone of equal or even close to Adam Clune. Looks like a nice guy. Looks like he's got Scottish heritage, but doesn't look like a great number 7 to me.
No.
Kalen Ponga's still you go to. You got Bradman Best. They recruited Dane Gagai on the wrong side of his prime. This isn't State of Origin. This is Rugby League Football, NRL. We'll see how he aims up. Daniel Saifidi is out of this game, which is a little bit tough for the Knights. They've got a Kurt Mann at lock, and they have Mitch Barnett on the bench. So I'm questioning everything around the Knights already. Keeping in mind, the Knights are the worst attack of last year. Their attack was worse than the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
So there's nothing in this lineup that tells me it's going to get any better. Looking at the Roosters, who are my Smokies to win it all, called it last year. I do like their chances for this season, provided that they're healthy. They got Teddy at the back, Billy Smith, a lot of potential, but has some injury problems. Joey Manu, saw him at the start, very quiet bloke. You could tell that when I saw him at the start, he was thinking about this game. He's focused. We've got a premiership winner in Momorowski there. He's bloody excellent. Sam Walker and Luke Keary in the halves. Before Keary went out, he was actually playing very well. Great form. Got Connor Watson at 9. Still got the Angry Hargreaves. Lindsay Collins is back from injury. Crichton, Tupanua, Victor Radley. My goodness. What a bloody team these blokes are. I'm leaning straight on the Roosters to cover it. My write-up just says it's the Roosters and it's the Knights. I don't have any research around it. I got the boys are back in town. Mitchell Pearce isn't there. The Knights are going to struggle this week and probably every week after that until they verse the Tigers. What do you think? Where'd you get the best odds?
I have gone the Roosters cover, but I went minus 11.5 at $1.70 on Bet365. So it's under the $1.90 odds, obviously, but $1.70 I will take because the only reason why I'm not I would jump on the 12.5. If you are, I still think they'll cover it. Is purely because they don't have a goal kicker by the looks of it, the Roosters. So I don't know who's going to kick for them. I'm looking at that team.
They got Takiaho on the bench.
Yeah, in the interchange. So if he comes on, he'll kick. But if they
Momorowski can kick, can't he? Or does he just miss them?
I don't know.
He
didn't kick a Penrith. He was well down the kicking order there. But I still think they'll cover that comfortably. I think I'm going the 11.5, but take the 12.5 if you see it elsewhere. If you don't want to go down the $1.70 odds. They're just stats.
That's going to move for sure.
Yeah, I just think, like the reserves. Kevin Nguama, scored a triple or double in the Super League final. He's on the reserves. Can't even crack this. Adam Kieran can't crack it. Ben Marshke, like Lachlan Lamb. These are first graders versus, even the interchange for the Knights looks very weak. And I think one of their best players last year, Ponga was good, but Daniel Saifidi was a beast. You look what he did for New South Wales. He was an animal. He is so big to that team going forward, and he's not playing. All of a sudden it makes Clemmer the man who's got to do it all on his own, and I think that's going to be a big ask for him versus that forward pack, which is scary. So if Victor Bradley can keep his cool this year and not try and take people's heads off, they should really win a lot of games, but a lot's going to be hinging on him behaving himself. So take
the Roosters, boys and girls. Take them with confidence.
Take them and run.
All right, sweet. That's the first game of the slutty Saturday. The second game of our fixture is the Warriors v Dragons. This is at 4:30 on Sunshine Coast Stadium. Looking at the odds, it can go either way. Both teams are $1.90. You're taking the money line on this one. Both teams have recruited quite well in the off-season. The Dragons have committed to their youth. Tyrell Sloan was a revelation at the back end of last season. He's starting at fullback. They've got Moses Sully, who still doesn't look fit, but is explosive as ever. Zach Lomax back from injury. Ravalawa was not suspended yet. They've got Amon at 6, Ben Hunt at 7, Sharon Woods at 10, Jack Bird playing in the second row for his second season. We actually played quite well. Jaden Sewer, recruited from the Rabbitohs on the other second row. And Jack DeBellin got a full preseason under his belt after a lengthy suspension. On the bench, Moses Mbai is a utility. Francis Molo on the bench, played State of Origin last year. I guess he didn't deserve to play State of Origin, but he still played.
Played it.
And looking at the Warriors, what are the big calls? Sean Johnson starting at 7. Cody Nicarima still there at 6. They got Chanel Harris-DeVita playing fullback. DWZ on the wing. Who do we have? Fanua Blake at 8. Bunty at 10. Ewan Aitken at 11. Him and Jack Bird have the exact same career by the looks of it. Josh Curran, he's a fan favorite in the Warriors. Our guy, Jazz Tavanga on the bench. I love him. Murdoch Basila, he's a great watch. Bailey Sirenan's on the bench too. The Warriors have a pretty good team, to be honest. I'm not surprised to see this one $1.90. I think the bookmakers have got it right. But we both agree on who's going to win. So I hand it over to you. Tell us who's going to win this game and why.
Yeah, so going Saints to win. You take the blue bet special again, $1.90. If they're up by 4 or more at halftime, you get paid as a winner. So I'm going that way as well. You just said at the start, Tyrell Sloan, coach is giving a young gun a run. I like that. Like, that's where you didn't see with the other coaches playing it safe with Xavier Savage, for example. The Warriors, though, they look good on paper, but remember, they looked good paper last year, but everything had to go through Reece Walsh. Reece Walsh was the core of that attack, and he's not playing, and that's going to be a big out for them. I know Sean Johnson's gone back, but that's Sean Johnson from literally 10 years ago now. It'll be nearly 10 years since they made the grand final of the Warriors. That's gone. That's not the same Sean Johnson. So I think that's where they're going to struggle a lot. I think the Dragons have a team that can start the season well and have to an extent because they don't have a huge amount of depth. And if they do get a couple of injuries there, which with that squad can potentially have injuries, you've got a lot of senior players. That's going to be challenging for them. So I think this is a game they can win versus a Warriors team who have not been back home to play a game in a long time. And they're going to spend this whole season in Australia again. It's going to be challenging for them. And Reece Walsh not being there, he was their expert. They didn't make the 8 last year, remember. But they were close because of him. If they didn't have him, they were busted. They were nowhere near a chance. And that was with Roger Tuivasa-Sheck there for a lot of that season too. So taking them straight, $1.90, get on it.
I agree. I'm taking the Dragons too, for a few reasons. The first reason why Warriors were the team that I backed last year that I shouldn't have. I think you remember I was backing them all the time and they just would not stop tearing my asshole apart.
They do.
Now that I have gone to Turkey in the off-season, got a brand new asshole, surgically repaired.
Congrats.
Almost made of titanium now. It's almost unfuckable, really. But I believe if I back the Warriors, they'll find a new way to fuck me. So I'm off them. I think very similar to, I'd say, Cronulla. They've got a lot of great players. They've got heaps. But I don't think they'll ever have a game where they have the best player on the field. They've got heaps of good players, but they just don't have the spark and the strike. Tyrell Sloan is an excitement machine.
Yeah.
Cody Ramsey loves to dive in the corner. Sully and Lomax, they create havoc on the edges.
Yeah.
Ravalawa was a beast. Ben Hunt, last year was the best season he's ever had since 2015, the whole drop ball incident.
Good point.
Took him a very long time to get over that, but last year he finally delivered on that. Unfortunately, he got injured. And I do like I guess the only question mark I have is in the props. They got Aaron Woods and Blake Laurie. That's the only question mark I have in the Dragons. And if Josh Maguire probably just stops getting suspended for things, he'd probably be very handy for them in games like this. But I do think the Dragons can come away and take this. I think Ben Hunt, Tyrell Sloan, probably the biggest factors. Just a bit of work around the spine. Andrew McCulloch's solid as a rock, but Ben Hunt's creative. Amon's got some strike. Sloan's got some excitement to him. I do like the Dragons, and I think they'll win the big moments. Who says that all the time? Is that Andrew Johns or Gus?
Gus is the big moments, man.
Yeah.
The one shout out for the Dragons as well is Burgess and Tarek Sims weren't picked in this team at all. They were playing reserve grades. So they do have some depth there. I know I said they don't have a huge amount of depth, but Tarek Sims played Origin last year and he's kind of getting this starting squad. So maybe he's upset Griffin because he surely should be on the reserves, but at least, if not a bench spot. But
Yeah.
unless something else has happened to him, unless he's punched on like Latrell did today at training. But
Yeah, they've made up already.
Mm.
They've made up. But no, we're both liking the Dragons. They'll win the big moments. I think we'll hear Gus say that on the weekend. Who knows? We'll see. I did listen to his podcast, and I don't remember him saying that about the Dragons. So I'm calling it Dragons to win the big moments. The final game when you're slutty Saturday, hopefully you're half a case deep, and the Storm is your last leg for the day. We're at Combank Stadium. We've got the West Tigers with a new shitty-looking logo against the Melbourne Storm at 7:35 p.m. Storm should be paying $1.01, but Sportsbet has them at $1.25. The West Tigers at $4. The line on this one is 12.5 on Sportsbet. You might be able to get it at 11.5 elsewhere. I have seen 13.5 as well. Looking at the lineups, the Storm have new recruit Nick Meaney at 6, which is quite interesting. Xavier Coates will probably score 1,000 tries on the weekend and rub it in my face. Brandon Smith is starting at 9. Forward pack looking quite healthy for the Storm. Bench lacking a little bit of depth. They got Nelson on there. He's the only notable player, and he'll probably be 15 kilos overweight. So he'll probably play less minutes, but a very destructive 15 minutes. Looking at the Tigers, Jackson Hastings is a big in. James Roberts still has a job. So does Dane Laurie after the whole Panthers jersey scenario. Luciano Leilua is there. Look at that. Offengow, he still has a job.
Yep.
Tyrone Peachy on the bench. Best 14 to ever do it by the looks of things, outside of Sean Berrigan. But what are your thoughts on this? Everyone knows Melbourne's going to win. The question is by how much?
I honestly think this is the bet of the round. I've got them at $1.85 or minus 11.5 to be safe. But I think these guys can win by 20. Melbourne Storm, like, everyone talks about how their record, Craig Bell's never lost around one game, right? So you're getting them $1.85 to win by 2 converted tries or more. He's never lost around one game, and he's been comfortable. He's never become close in around one game in recent memory. Like when they talk about his record, remember last year it was South. And everyone's like, oh, this could be the year South. They got blown off the park. Absolutely blown off the park against this. Now they're playing a Tigers team who have arguably gone backwards since last year. Yes, they beat the Roosters in a trial game, but you can't tell me that the Roosters were giving everything in that and they didn't have a full-strength team. Jackson Hastings is in. Yep, I get it. But he was in the NRL once upon a time and couldn't crack it and went overseas and did well in Super League, granted. But he's tried the NRL before.
They're missing Dewey as well.
Who was, again, probably their best player last year. Whereas the Storm, you talk about Meaney in the halves, he was their best player at the Dogs last year, Nick Meaney. He was their one that attack went through. But he's playing alongside Jerome Hughes, who is an international premiership winning halfback. He is much more qualified than Brooks and Hastings put together. He will steer them around and do the little things that, yes, they're missing Munster, so they're not going to be at their absolute best. Apparently, Munster's been killing it, and they're missing Harry Grant, granted. But they've got Brandon Smith at 9, who's a great number 9, and he's going to the Roosters next year to play number 9. So he's not a bad number 9. You touched on Xavier Coates is going to score 1,000 tries. Pappenhausen's back there. And last year he came back and he wasn't 100%. He's had a whole off season now to prepare. So he's going to be back to that best. And people forget he was pressing for Origin before he had those knocks. He was untouchable. I can't believe it's 11.5 or 12.5. It'll go. It's similar to the earlier game. Take the 12.5. This is going to go out. Like, I can't see.
I would take it up to 17.5.
Yeah. If you've got if you want to do a juicy multi, you could do Roosters minus 17.5 and Melbourne minus 17.5. Don't know what else the top of my head is, but you'd get pretty good odds. You'd probably get 7-8 to 1 just on that, because I think that's absolute bargain for me. So that's why I'm leading. Yourself?
Very much the same. I'll take these guys out to 17.5. Why the hell not? If I just whacked it in a multi, you're looking at $2.40 for the Storm to win minus 17.5. They've also covered the line in 4 of its last 5 matches in Sydney. And the West Tigers have lost each of their last 3 matches by a margin of 13 plus points. So, bit of sports bet stats to help you if you're unsure after listening to us.
Do you remember the last time they played each other? Where Tigers had that, it was up Sunshine Coast, and they went up there a week early and had like a team bonding.
Oh, yeah.
Away. It was
66.
40-0 at halftime.
Yeah.
It was, and this was with a full strength Tigers team and
Yeah.
a pretty strong Melbourne team. It was 40-0.
Bonding.
And then the previous fixture, Melbourne put 50 on them as well. Like that Melbourne team that put 66 and 50 aren't nowhere near as bad as what half that score could be. Tigers are nowhere near double or close to better than what that score could be. So
Are they doing Tiger Town this year?
I hope so. I like that show. I really enjoyed that show. I love the language in it.
A little bit of Tiger Town. I did like that too. And if you had a big Saturday and you're feeling a little bit hungover and seedy on the Sunday, there's a little bit of rugby league to keep you company. So at 4 o'clock, Combank Stadium, we see the Parramatta Eels versus the Gold Coast Titans. This is sure to be a good matchup. Tigers, what the hell was that? Titans had an improvement last year. Showed some potential. They've made some big moves, or some big calls. Lost Fogarty. Gave it up to Toby. Toby's only played a handful of games, and you've given away Fogarty, and you've lost Ash Taylor. So some big movements within your spine. Jaden Campbell's there, so he's sure to improve. AJ Brimson playing at 6. So I don't know how much experience he has playing at 6, but from what we've seen, he's played pretty much fullback or that utility role in State of Origin. We've got Dave Fafita. He was pretty good in the Indigenous game, which brought a tear to my eye. Tino's the new captain. They got Will Smith on the bench. At a very similar team. Some notable outs that didn't make the team who have been regular first graders. Greg Marju tearing it up on the wing. Don't need his go forward apparently. Jared Wallace, he didn't make it. Herman Esiesi looking to resurrect his career as a Gold Coast Titan as well. Looking at the Parramatta Eels, still got Gutho. That's going to be a bad contract in a couple of years.
Yeah.
That's going to be bad. Wonga Blake, he still has a job. Bailey Simonson, he's a good pickup. Do like him as a winger. We've got Dylan Brown, Mitchell Moses in the halves, and pretty much the same forward pack from last year. They do have a few players coming off contract at the end of the year, so it's really their last shot with this current team that they have before they're going to have to make some big changes. Parramatta notorious for peaking early in the year. Do you think they peak and they pump the Titans here? What are you thinking?
Yeah.
They do have a good record over them.
I love the Para Eels in this game. I'm very anti-Parramatta Eels a fan. So if I like Parramatta Eels, and there must be something standing out to me. And I just look at those lineups. Titans, yes, Fafita played well in the Indigenous Maori game, but where this screams of the same Titans team from last year, where they'll probably beat the teams in the bottom 8, the lower half of the 8 comfortably, but when they run up against a decent team who can defend their line a lot better, especially against Fafita, they're going to struggle. And that forward pack for Para shouldn't have too many issues holding them back. He probably will still get over a try, but they'll go there 10 times.
It'll mean nothing.
Yeah.
You'll get one.
But, when a Para team has Nathan Brown on its reserves, they've got a very good forward pack. So there's no real standout weaknesses with this Para team against the Titans. The question for Para is still going to be, can they go that next level up at the end of the year? But based on the way they play against Penrith, I think they're still going to try and start the season strong. They're not too worried about that at the moment. Last couple of years, I think they have been pretty patchy at the start of the season. So I think they want to get off to a good start. And I think Titans, they should cover comfortably. I've got them at -5.5 on Bluebet at $1.80, just to cover, again, that half point. This is what I'm doing this year. I want to get the best return I can get. So that's how I see it.
I think it's a big year for the Eels. I think they'll peak early. They do have a great record against the Titans. I think in their last 5 matches, Parramatta's covered the line in every single one. Titans, they got the new combo in the spine. I think it's going to take them a bit. I think especially for Brimo, I think it's going to take him some time to find his feet. I do like Parramatta. I actually do like them this year. I think they'll give it a good shake because Mitchell Moses, he's got to mature into the dominant 7 that he needs to be. He showed it in patches last year, but hasn't been able to control the game for a full 80 minutes. So hopefully with a bit more experience, Reid Marnie should be better as well. Like that spine, they played together for so long now.
Yeah, it's a very experienced spine. It's probably the most experienced, when I think about it, the most experienced spine going around. Like even Penrith's spine, Luai only came in recently. Like I think Gutherson, Moses, or Brown maybe. Dylan Brown is a bit late, but Reid Marnie there, I think they're it's up there with one of the best spines.
Yeah, it's a really solid spine. They should have good rapport. They've got a lot of experience together. The team's not that different. They've swapped a winger around. Like it's not.
And this is the same team that lost to Penrith by 2 points.
Yeah,
who went on to win the comp. So it's not. They didn't have to change much.
If Penrith didn't cheat, could have been Parramatta.
Yeah, if Parra could score a try off anything but a bomb that let Dylan as a bounce, they probably would have won too. If they could throw a pass. If Moses didn't dive either, maybe we would have got another try too. But anyway, let bygones be bygones. We won the comp, sucked in.
Let it go. But we're both taking Parramatta here to cover the line. I took him at 6.5. You've got him at 5.5. I think they'll cover. I think there'll be quite a bit of points. I don't trust the Titans defensively. So, what do we have? Last game of the round, Sunday at 5:15, Queensland Country Back Stadium. I think that's 6:15 for us, actually. We see the North Queensland Cowboys versus the Canterbury Bulldogs. I think this is the hardest game to pick
easily.
Out of all of them.
Easily the hardest game.
Cowboys slight favourites at $1.85. Bulldogs at $1.95. The line is 1.5. We'll start with the Cowboys because they haven't recruited as many people as the Bulldogs. I guess looking at the team, we've got Chad Townsend, who's a big in at 7. Dearden playing the 6. They have a very strong backline with the Hammer, Felt, Holmes, Talangi, and Peter Hiku.
Did you know Peter Hiku was on there? I did not know until I read that lineup today. I was like, Peter Hiku's at the Cowboys? How is this? I never knew that. Like,
I saw him in the trial. I was like, is that Peter Hiku?
The ultimate rocks and diamonds, man. He's going to the Cowboys. That's why it's so hard to pick this game.
He's the biggest, probably rocks and diamonds bloke since Sean Kenny Dow.
He'd have to be. Like, he could score a hat trick this weekend, or he could let 3 tries in from his errors. It could be either way. Like, he's incredible.
Yeah. What do we have? Todd Payton still playing Taumalolo at 13. Surprise, surprise. We've got Reece Robson at 9. I do like him at a 9. Pretty much a very similar team that they used to have. Some players named on the reserves, though. Jake Granville and Scott Drinkwater. And Brendan Elliott. He's a journeyman. He's back in the NRL.
He gets around.
Straight into the reserves list. But the Bulldogs, who the bloody hell have they got? Matt Duffy, new recruit, playing fullback. Brent Naden in the centres. Josh O'Carr on the wing. Matt Burden at 6. They're sticking with Avarillo at 7. In their forward pack, it's not a bad-looking forward pack, but there's a lot of ill discipline.
It's a very wild forward pack. That's trouble. Look at him.
Yeah,
even off field.
Josh Jackson's got to try to rein these blokes in. You've got the number one barbecue organizer in the whole competition in Paul Vaughan. You got the Lord of Suspension in Jack Hetherington. Tavita Pangai is a brain explosion machine. He's ready to punch. Did you see him in the trials?
Yeah, he was raring to go. Even Luke Thompson. Mate, have you seen him in the grub he's been lately?
Yeah, he's learning it from someone.
Yeah.
So exciting. I can't wait for this game. But yeah, it's just there's a lot of volatility in that Bulldogs team, Like if Pangai's giving away penalties, Hetherington's giving away penalties, Paul Vaughan loves hands in the ruck, Luke Thompson's a grub. And if things don't go their way, I don't know if they'll be able to wrestle things back. That's what I'm concerned about. For me, I'm leaning towards the Cowboys, but not with that much confidence. I think being at home, the conditions are going to suit them a little bit better. The Bulldogs did look absolutely terrible throughout the trials in attack, and I think it's going to take them a couple of rounds to get the combos right. Chad Townsend, I only got to watch him play once. He might have only played once, but he played really good against the Broncos. And outside of Peter Hiku, they have a very good backline. Tuolangi's only going to get better. Hammer's going to get better. Kyle Felt has 9 different elbows, so his arm bends in every single way possible. And Val Holmes is playing him in the centers now. Less cardio, baby, more explosiveness. So hopefully he can find some form. But I don't know. What are you thinking? I'm not too sure.
It's a tough game because, as you said, the forward pack. If the forward pack kept their heads level and disciplined, the Dogs will roll through the middle. But they're good for a penalty and everything like that, which will give the leg up to the opposition. But the back line, I like the hammer. Dufty's they're probably like for like, cancel each other out. Kyle Felt is a better winger than Ockenbaugh by a mile. Val Holmes is a way better centre than Braden Burns. Peter Hiku is rocks and diamonds, but he's up against like we're comparing Brent Naden again. I can't really separate until Lungy. It'd be behind Edo Carr, but it'd be pretty good spectacle.
He's a good winger though.
I would probably take Dearden and Townsend over Burton and Avarillo. I think Burton, the biggest question, I know he played amazing, was a centre of the year last year, out of position. But when he did have that Panthers team in those games without Cleary and Luai, and he had to step up and steer them around,
he just scored himself.
He had to do it himself. He couldn't get the attack, and maybe he's on off season now. He can run with them, but you were playing with a premiership winning team, so you had a very good team. Now you're playing with the Dogs.
System.
Yeah, you're playing out a system, combined with the fact that the media, Buzz Rothfield hates field goal. He called him out for saying they don't use drones on NRL 360 last night. Field goal tweeted back saying we do drone footage and put pictures up. So Fox, NRL 360 are going to go after the Dogs, putting pressure on Barrett. I'm going to take the home team there at $1.90, get on Blue Bet, just hope they start well in front of their crowd, get up to a halftime lead. I don't care what happens after that. I'll enjoy watching the second half because this game could go any way. Like, it honestly could. It could be a blowout one way or the other. It could be just an absolute grind to the ground. But
it could be mayhem. It could be an absolute bludger.
It could be. It could be an absolute drop ball fest, which I think both teams are going to finish down towards the bottom of the ladder, so it should. But
it's 1,000% humidity in that game too, so conditions
sweaty.
There's going to be a lot of fatigue.
There will be
a lot of missed tackles and errors,
burning calves.
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of super dupers out on the field or hydrolyte. I don't know what they're drinking these days, but we're both on the Cowboys. Is that right?
Correct.
Yay! So I guess looking at that, not everyone's going to jump on every single bet, let's be honest, because not everyone has the bankroll that you do. You can chuck $100 on every single bet. From the ones that you have, which ones do you love the most? And which ones are you going to dump? The ones that you love the most, so we can dump them into a multi? What do you think?
Storm, minus
Storm,
Storm, just go minus 12.5 if you want. I'd still just go minus 11.5.
Yeah.
Para minus 5.5. And also the Roosters minus 12.5. Those three for me are very good bets. The other ones play safely because I'm not super confident on a lot of them, mainly due to injuries or very new lineups and combinations. So
we don't have much form to go off. But
those three are very stable teams from last season. Maybe a couple outs. In the Roosters case, a lot of ins, and I'm much more confident with those rosters. So I'd stick to those.
Yeah. Beautiful. I might take advantage of some of the promos. I think Sportsbet has 4-leg NRL multi, 1 or 2 legs foul, up to $50 back. Why the hell is it even 2 legs? 1 or even 2 legs foul get up to $50.
It depends. It goes on how many legs you put. So, no, it's 2 legs straight up. There you go.
Yeah, it's just 2 legs.
Jump on that. 4 plus legs.
Yeah. So I'll probably take Melbourne with the line, Roosters with the line, Para on the line, and then whatever cheap leg I could find out there in the NRL. I'll do alternate unders. I was
going to say just
points.
Just pick a game and just do like under 16.5, and then just hope it's not like an absolute tri-festival and you're laughing. So, or even if you're super worried, just do like Cronulla plus 20.5 or something.
Yeah.
But the minimum leg's $1.10, so make sure it's to that. But
yeah, so that's one multi I'm going to run. Play all the singles. Closer to every game, I'll be releasing some tips. So look out for that one. The other promo that Sportsbet has running now at the moment. What is it? W winnings?
Yeah, in bonus bets.
W winnings in bonus bets up to $100. So 3-leg NRL same game multi on Thursday, Friday, and Friday night matches. If it wins, we'll double your winnings up to $100 in bonus bets. It applies to the first same game multi placed on each match. Max of 1 claim per match. So the first one I post, better bang. But I did have a very good strike rate on same game multis. One thing that does help is the fact that I don't pick many try scorers. So keep an eye out for that one. You can find that all in our Discord. And if you're not in there, I don't know what the fuck you're waiting for.
Exactly. If you want to play that same game multi one for, say, your line bets, you put your line bet in there and then you do pick
First
your own.
half,
You do your
line,
pick, say, for
20.
example, Storm minus 13.5.
Yeah.
Then do pick your own line, do Storm minus 12.5. Because if you're going to get your line bet, you're going to get the one as well. And then you just... Yeah, and then just exactly. That's basically how you play it, and then you'll get it's a 3-leg same game multi. You should hopefully they may cop onto it and they may give you under the $2 odds required, but if they do, then just chuck like instead of the Storm head to head, put like under 70 points or something, like just to cover yourself. But that's a good way to do it, but it's a quick way to get banned from promos, speaking from experience.
Well, being banned by bookies is an accomplishment for a lot of punters.
It's an honor. It's an honor. So.
I do see a lot of people, especially in our Discord, we celebrate when we get offered bonus bets for deposit matches and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
But the harsh reality is if you are getting those, it means that bookie has made a bit of money off you in the past and they miss you. Like, for example, my performance differs greatly from bookie to bookie. It's unbelievable. Ladbrokes, if I use Ladbrokes, I'm almost guaranteed to lose money. On Sportsbet, I'll win a lot of cash in sports. I think their markets are great, the interface, and it's like, I don't know, I seem to do a lot better on it. But Ladbrokes absolutely rinses me all the time, unless it's NRL. Ladbrokes text me today saying we'll give you 100% deposit match up to $100. So I almost did it, but holding off for now. I haven't checked their promos yet, but it might be something I dabble in. But for those of you who are listening, if you do get offered deposit matches, it probably means you're not doing very well with punting.
Don't take it harshly though.
Look, it happens to me. I'm on a podcast giving out tips. So I guess the ultimate goal is to eventually get banned one day. That's one of the achievements that I'd love to have. Probably 1,000 members in the Discord would be nice. 100 downloads on the podcast would be quite arousing.
Yeah, it'd be very good.
So pretty keen. It's going to be a very big year. We do have some exciting news, which we're going to share hopefully next week. If not, hopefully the week after that. But we've got some big things planned for those of you who have made it this far and listen. But it's absolute pleasure. We're back. I'm excited. Can't wait for the NRL football. Weekend starts on Thursday now. How good? How good? It's all happening. But any last words from you before I ask you to play that intro song for me, please? Any last words?
No last words. Bet responsibly, but good luck.
Good luck and get on. Let's go. Let me hear it, baby.
When it starts to play.
Play it. Come on. I think I need to hire a full-time producer for this.
I think so too. Because it's...
Let's go. If you are listening to this and you have any thoughts on this track, if you want us to change it, or if you love it to death, if you want us to send it to you, it's not going to happen. It's all ours. All right. We'll catch you next week. Thanks for listening.